Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Vobes show. It's the 27th of January 2020, and my phone is ticking, which tells me the show is live, which is rather fantabulous. Let's run the clock, shall we? Why not? Here we go. With 28 seconds and 27 seconds, 25 seconds. The clock is descending in alphabetical order, starting with the deepest colours and going to the lightest ones. That can tell you something about the oddity of tonight's show. And with only 10 seconds left, starting now, let's prepare ourselves for something rather ludicrous. Yes, the old boy is still here, able and ready to do his thing. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the old Vobe himself on the 27th of January 2020, live for your entertainment in the roughest, oldest jacket that I could possibly find in the wardrobe. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm wearing something stupid. It is the Monday Wear Something Stupid show. That's because I am fairly stupid, and this is a lackadaisical show of Monday. Nobody wants to go to work on a Monday, least of all me. I am the least hard-working man in the country. Give me half a chance, I'll have a little kip with my feet up on the duvet. I will lean back on the chaise longue and enjoy myself whilst watching some rubbish on afternoon television. That's the sort of bloke that you're dealing with here on the Vobe show. But I hope that you are all well and paying attention. There may be a quiz, there may not. Who knows? Let's find out who happens to be out there in the world of the Vobosphere. We've got Mandy of Merrimack says hello from snowy Michigan. Hello to you. Sorry about all the snow. The lovely Julia is out there. Hello, lovely Julia. Nice to see you. Or at least to see your written invitation, or whatever that is. Lovely Jeff Kellison happens to be by, and he's hoping that the TLJ is feeling a bit better. I hope she is. Kevin Hall is there. Hello, Richard. Kevin here. Kevin is out there, back from his trip. We may see a little bit of Kevin later on in the show. Nigel Sadler says he's about to start chopping vegetables and make some soup. What kind of soup are you having tonight, Mr. Nigel Sadler? Obviously, vegetables are part of it. Is it veg soup, or is it something a little bit more meaty? Who knows? He's going to turn up the volume nice and loud, which is very good. Talking of loud, did I see Ed Loud out there? He's usually there. Oh, I've got irritating eye disease. Hang on, I'm just poking my eye out. There we go. That's much better. Robert Baxter. Hello to you, Robert Baxter. Merriett Genealogy is also there. Fiona Cooper, Stephen Agger, Andy Stacey. By the way, Andy Stacey, USB is in the post, just to let you know it's definitely in the post. Linda Kane, message has been retracted, but hello to you. I haven't retracted that. Cynthia's camera is also saying, hello, everybody. Everybody saying hello to the Vobes. Oh-ho! Anyway, Judith is saying also hello, and Tim Williams. Hello, Tim. Don't panic. I downloaded the video, and it is in the Vobe video player. The Vobe video player. That's the VVP. Yes, everyone needs a VVP, don't they? Vroom. That's what they need. And it's nice of you all to drop by. Andrew Norris is here as well. So there we are. Now, it's the start of a week, and really and truly, apart from some very basic stuff, it's over to you, really, to set the tone of the show. What should we talk about? What are we going to discuss? What is on your mind? That's what these professional DJ radio people do, don't they? They turn off the studio stuff and they turn it over to the audience and say, what do you want to talk about? And then we have a nice friendly discussion and you involve the audience. And that's what this show is liberally about, or at least it pretends to be about. Often I do go off in one strange thing. Mike Dixon. Hey, wait a minute. I'm here. I was just looking at some liking. Hello, Mike. Glad you caught up with the lichen. He says, I'm here. I've only just made it as the A23 from Crawley was wet and horrible. Horrible. You're not going to get all that plastic neurothermalogens doing their thing in wet and horrible. You've got to be out and enjoying stuff. Kevin Hall says something political, Richard. Yes, okay. 4 days to go till Brexit Day. So that's very exciting. Looking forward to having a party here on Friday. If you want to join me for a Brexit party, we'll be celebrating it with carrot cake. Yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? Carrot cake. Homegrown UK carrot cake and sprouts. That's what we're going to be doing. D for Bricks is there. D for Bricks, please don't spam the chat room. Thank you very much. I'm watching on you. If you spam, I have an automatic button that I have now worked out how I can kick people out who spam. So if anybody apart from me is eating spam, that'll be it. Ed Loud says, what's on my mind is my granddad's generation, everything they went through and how strong they must have been. We are not worthy. And that is a very interesting thing. Has anybody seen that film 1917? That's supposed to be a very good thing. A lot of people, there's nobody left, is there? I think the last serving soldier has since died now, but imagine what they must have gone through back then. Then, of course, in the Second World War, the sort of things that they went through. But if you were born in around about the 1930s, as my dad was born around the 1930s, the changes that he must have seen in his life and the things that they've gone from, you know, they must have witnessed the early aeroplane flights where going abroad was an actual thing that you could do by aeroplane. Must have been, you know, very interesting, and then became affordable for most people, so that even my father, who perhaps witnessed that, the aeroplanes coming over in the Second World War, commercial flights on BOAC, do you remember that? I don't, but I had a bag that my dad had. I don't know what, can anyone tell me what BOAC stood for? That would be quite interesting. Patrick Rose is there, lovely to see you also. Thank you for joining us. Tim Williams says, yes, amazing people. It is a generation, of course, every generation that reaches their 80s and 90s and ready to pop their clogs will have something to say. It will be interesting. I wonder if it will be interesting for my generation, my generation now, in my early 50s, he says hastily. Kevin knows how young I am and virile. And what it will be like when I'm in my 90s and the generation down, perhaps little Joseph Hartley, who is only 6 months now, what he will make out in another 30, when he's 30 odd and I'm nearly 90, 60, 70, when I'm in my 80s and he's 30, what will he make of it? What will he make of the things that I could tell him about the changes that I have seen from typewriters to word processors? Nobody calls them word processors anymore, do they? Be quite interesting. Kevin Hall says, when I did say something, it was nothing, Richard. Oh, right, fair enough. Linda Kane says, seeing 1917 later this week. I haven't seen it myself. I've seen a few behind the scenes. It looks fascinating. D for Bricks, Richard, you can always say don't spam the show, and I've just said that to you, D for Bricks, so there we go. Tim Williams says the last Tommy came from Wales, Harry Patch, that's right, died at 111. So there we are. Didn't the shock of that didn't affect him, did it? It's funny how some people their constitution can keep them going on, and other people. It makes me wonder how many people in this woke society, and I use that word advisedly. What did you say? Don't use that word. Oh, sorry. I was told not to use that word. Oh, right. Okay. What? Because I can be shut down. Oh, I see. Yes, of course. But it does make you wonder how many people in this woke society, just woken from a dream, how long they will manage to live with everything being done for them, and the moment, you know, the wind turns a little bit cold, perhaps climate change doesn't actually happen, perhaps they'll just, you know, fall apart and cry. Patrick Rose has put me right. Thank you very much, Patrick, there. British Overseas Air Corporation. Yeah, that's a mouthful. I like the letters, though, BOAC. It does sound rather nice, doesn't it? It does sound like a bit like foot and mouth disease, but, you know, it is what it is. D for Brick says, can you get a celebrity on Friday show? Yes, of course. There will be that very famous bloke who goes out into the countryside with a microphone and a camera reporting on heritage, landscape and nature. I can guarantee that on Friday he will be there. That will be the celebrity. Costing us an absolute fortune, but, you know, he could be up in London attending a more civilised Brexit party, but he may be here on his own with a small cake. Carrot cake, as I said. And if he can't get the cake version, he may just have a carrot and he'll try and make it into cake as best he can. Linda Kane is also saying British Overseas Airways Corporation. So thank you for that. See how many other people come to my aid. Here we go. Nigel Sadler also typing as the others typed. British Overseas Aircraft Corporation. So there we are. We got to Air Corporation, Airways Corporation, or Aircraft Corporation. All those searches coming from different parts of the internet. So that's interesting. Spectrum is green, which is very nice to know from, of course, Captain Scarlet. He says BOAC, here we go, in capitals, so he's shouting at me, British Overseas Air Corporation, thank you. Thank you. So that's really good. So the Veg Rower podcast is saying, hello, Richard. He says, cook up some homegrown Veg Friday. Yes, would you like to come in on the show on Friday? Do the Friday show with me? Are you free, Mr. Suggett? Who would like to see Mr. Suggett on the show on Friday? Do a yes, 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 yes. And we will get some cooking. I will go and get my antiquated 1917 Bunsen burner out, and we will cook something up on the show. So that will be very exciting. D for Bricks is saying it's a good idea. Bloody old air company says Air Loud. Yes, bloody old one. I don't think it's actually in existence anymore. If you happen to have got some traveller's checks with BOAC in them, then you probably actually find that some of those old propeller aircraft probably better than some of these more modern ones, especially that new, is it Airbus or whatever it was? Buses are always late anyway, so that would be no good. We got a load of yeses. Which is good. Mr. Suggett is always a pleasure. So, Mr. Suggett, you're booked. Tell us what your fee is, by the way. Mike Dixon says, will the 31st of January become a national holiday? It bloody well ought to, shouldn't it? It should become a holiday and we can go round. We'll hire, next year, we will hire a red double-decker London bus and celebrate the 31st of January, year on in. And what we'll do is we'll all be pinned to the windows looking at those miserable faces who are very unhappy that we have not yet rejoined the EU. So that would be quite funny. Ed Loud, Richard, don't keep saying yes like that. The neighbours will think, well, never mind what they'll think. Oh, right. Is that what your missus says? Yes, yes. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Mr. Suggett, yes. Is that what they'll think? The Veg Grower podcast, he says, I think we need the yes to be a little louder. Well, we've got to tempt him on, haven't we? So that would be good. What sort of thing can we cook, Mr. Suggett, on Brexit Day? Obviously, something very traditionally English. We could do like toad in the hole with a few vegetables on the side. Or is there a better? What dish, ladies and gentlemen, could we do? What would they have had in the trenches? Well, perhaps we better not do that. They would have had a lot of mud, I imagine. Marriott Genealogy out there says, my grandfather Ernest. What a lovely name, Ernest, isn't it? Briefly served aboard HMS Furious. Can you imagine? Ernest was furious. I can't believe that. UK's first aircraft carrier and saw the first landing of a Sopwith pup on the 2nd of August 1917. And now we have Harrier jump jets. It just goes to show how much has changed. And yet, what is the more romantic? Seeing a Sopwith pup coming down with Andrex tissue wrapped around his bottom, waggling his tail like a little helicopter. What is more romantic than that? I know that a Sopwith pup, of course, is actually a biplane. It's a biplane, isn't it? I hope that they bought it anyway, because if it's rented, they never returned it. Andy Stacey says, I want one of Mr. Suggett's T-shirts. Where can I get one? Just a moment. Where can he have a T-shirt? No idea, actually. Probably from Mr. Suggett's site. If you check out the legendary Veg Grower podcast on the internet, you may find that there is a link to his website. And then somewhere on the website, you may be very lucky to know that he is selling his once used T-shirts. T-shirts that he's actually sweated in down at the end of the garden. I hope nobody's actually eating their dinner during this show. Oh, Nigel Sadler's cooking steamy old vegetables. Well, it'll probably smell just like that, actually. Imagine some sweaty old vegetables that's been around the block several weeks. It's probably like that hasn't had too much salt and pepper shoved into it. That would be good. Bully beef. Yes, bully beef. Now, can somebody give me the definition of bully beef? Is that beef that you push about a bit and get you to do all its things and bully it and call it names? Is that the sort of beef it is? Or is it beef that does that to you? Wooten pie. That sounds nice. Wooten pie. How many wootens do we need to kill? Is that some sort of pigeon, is it? I'd be interested to know what wooten is. That would be good. Linda Kane is... Oh, I've just said that. Dumplings. Well done. Yeah, dumplings. We could have dumplings with our wooten pie. Can you have dumplings with wooten pie? I dare say you can have dumplings. What's a dumpling? That's something that when you go to the toilet... Anyway, let's not go down that street. Yes, says Patrick Rose. That would be good. What have we got here? The T-shirts will be available from the website very soon. The links are not quite up, but it could be this week. In other words, let me interpret that from Mr. Suggett. Nobody's ever asked him for a T-shirt. He hadn't even thought anyone would be interested. But all of a sudden, somebody watching the Vobes show, not happy for a Vobes show T-shirt, because they're only in one colour, wants a Veg Grower podcast T-shirt. So, that's very sad for me, but great for Mr. Suggett. But it's woken him up, and he's gone, oh my God, I better go and get a T-shirt organised. So that's good. Spectrum is Green says, will you be doing your bong on Friday? My bong. What do you mean bong? Yes, I'm going to have a word with Big Ben and see if he can do 11 bongs at 11 o'clock. Of course, we will be going much earlier on the air at 8 o'clock than actually when we leave. And who knows what might happen. Somebody at the 11th hour, literally the 11th hour, may come up to spucker? And that's not even a word, is it? Scupper. Spucker is a nice word. Write it down. We might be able to use that somewhere. It's always useful to have a word that you never knew existed. Spucker. Somebody look that up in the dictionary and see if there is such a word as spucker. But anyway, somebody might come and scupper things at the old 11th hour, which would be very unhappy for me. Linda Kane says, I think wooten pie was World War II. What is a wooten? That's what I want to know. What is a wooten? I just have to slurp a coffee here. Now, Kevin Hall has been out and about. He's been very busy this week. He's gone up to the Peak District just to have a look. As you do when you go up to the Peak District, you go and have a quick peek. I went up there last year, and Kevin attached himself to me. He said, oh, well, if you're going up there, I'm going up there. I'll take you around there, Richard. I know everything about the Peak District. I know it all. I said, oh, all right then. You come up then, smarty pants. And we did go up there fairly smartish. Well, he's gone up, and of course, Kevin knows everything about the Peak District. He knows every last mountain footfall. He can tell you, he doesn't have to look at a map. He doesn't have to have a geocache in his hand. He doesn't have to have one of them satellite things. He can just look at the landscape, and he knows, ladies and gentlemen, he knows exactly.
Hello, Richard. This is Kevin, and I'm at... Where am I? Tides...
Exactly where he is. He knows exactly where he is. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is no failing Kevin. I don't know why that does that. Every time I go back to the show, it just puts on the thing. It's a very irritating moment in the show because it was going so swimmingly. Spectrum is Green is saying, yes, Kellison, Mr. Jeff Kellison says, I can tell you for sure that he would sell at least 2. Oh, there we are. 2 T-shirts. So that's very handy. Good old Richard, he's sold a load. Ed Loud says, Eurofighters can't fit on a carrier, though. Oh, why's that? The F-35B will be used for Vistol takeoffs. Oh, vertical. Is that vertical takeoffs in the UK carrier? That's marvellous. Hang on a minute. Some very important messages have just strayed past. What do we got here? The venture says it was a world... Oh, there we are. Wootton pie. WW2 pie. Mostly veg in it, but it's named after the guy responsible for Dig for Victory. Oh, is that what his name was? Wootton. John Wootton. Or words to that effect. That would be good. Don't forget to get the party banners out and the party hats. Pick a nice one for you. Yeah, well, we'll see how we go there, Daniel. We can only do our best. Andrew Murphy, hello to you. Lovely to see you. Thank you for popping in and seeing the old Vobie one-eyed Kenobi Shobi with me in the shabbiest jacket I could find. Actually, I do have shabbier jackets, but this was the only one I'd ironed. So that's all good. So at the moment we're trying to sell as many of Richard Suggett's t-shirts for the Veg Grower podcast. If you're a veg grower and you like growing vegetables in your back garden or on an allotment, then get your cash out. We may auction one on the night. If Mr. Suggett turns up, we may auction one on the night. We may not, because he probably hasn't had it printed. And I've just suddenly come up with the idea, and he's going, oh no, Richard, don't keep doing that to me. We may auction a signed autograph on his underpants, just for those who are interested. By the way, Richard Suggett, of course, is famed for his naked gardening. Yes, one year he cracked all the lenses of all the viewers' screens when he put up a picture of some naked gardening. It was quite grotesque, but he did it for a bet, and believe me, he paid off. He earned about £72,000 out of that and became a national star, or at least his bottom did. His bottom is now recognised all over, especially poking out from under fridges. But that's another story. Linda Kane says, spucker, here we go, is a word. No, can't believe that. It is a word, but not repeatable in such a respectable place as this. Oh, dear. So we better not use spucker. Can those people who wrote it down thinking it might be useful, can you unwrite it down, please? It's not useful at all. It's actually dreadful. Robert Croser says, I want a suggest t-shirt. You can suggest a t-shirt, but you may end up with a Suggett one. Ed Loud says, Vestol is vertical, short takeoff and landing. Thank you for explaining that to the hard of thinking. I had no idea. Spectrum is Green is saying, AKL, Lord... Oh, Walton. Is it Walton, not Wootton? Walton. If only somebody had spelt it correctly or had adjusted my one eye so that it wasn't quite so blurry when I'm looking at the screen. But thank you, sir. So Lord Walton, where is that from? Walton from Walton Hall up in the Midlands somewhere. Kevin Hall says, what happened to the video? It froze as soon as you started it. I'm so sorry about that. Let's see if we can unfreeze the video on this occasion.
Hello, Richard. This is Kevin, and I'm at... Where am I? Tides...
Clearly, he doesn't know anything about where he's going. So let's try him one more time. Kevin, where the hell are you?
Hello, Richard. This is Kevin, and there's Sue.
Hi.
Now we're out on a walk, and we've actually we're in a place now called, hang on, Watercombe Jollydale. I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're only about halfway around our walk. We've got about 6 miles in total to do. We didn't get started until quite late, but just behind us is the weir, which is called Freddy's Weir. So we're going to press on, and we'll see you later.
Well, there we are. A lovely, lovely, lovely little weir there. Or was it a lovely weird person? Anyway, nice to see Sue Blount there in the background. And Kevin managed to work out where he was. We're going to hear a bit more from Kevin later on in the show. He likes to do things his own way. And I'll slap his wrist when I see him next. And he's going to show us some marvellous footage, apparently. It's marvellous. So we look forward to that. Just waiting for it to come in on the video, the Vobes video player, the VVP, which is short for it gets played into the show. So that's good. Nigel Sadler says a veg grower hoodie would be more useful given the British weather. That's very true. We've had some miserable weather today. The lovely Julia and I were actually out filming in the weather, in the wet weather. And poor old Joseph has now got, little baby Joseph, he's now got pneumonia. He had some old monia, but old monia wouldn't stop. So in the end, we had to slap old monia around the face and get a new one. Everybody likes a new one, don't they? Because the new moans are better than the old moans. The Veg Grower podcast says, funnily enough, I was working on the shop over a weekend. I just have to test to see that it works and that the T-shirts and mugs are designed, he says, apropos of. We believe you. Bring a whole bunch in on Friday and we can rustle up our Walton pie in your mugs and then we can present it to one of the lucky viewers. Ed Loud says something like static again, but love it. What's static? What from from Kevin Hall? Well, you get a lot of static from Kevin. Patrick Prose says, where did Kevin get that tan this time of the year? Boot polish. That's what he got. He. You may not realise this, but he goes to some of these sun lamps in Midhurst where he lives. There's a string of them, shops in one of the dark alleys down in Midhurst. That's why if you ever plug your razor in, it doesn't work. That's why he's always got a beard, because the electricity is being used to get these sun lamps going. I think actually he is the proprietor of a very dodgy sun lamp sanitarium or solarium or whatever it is, salon. People come in, he gets all these pensioners in there and shoves them into this. He thinks they're sandwich makers. These things that you lie down in and they come down there. Human sandwich makers. And actually, when the people come out, they do have these tan lines going up and down them, like pinstripe suits, birthday suits for London. All they need is a bowler hat. So that would suit them out very nice. Be gentle with me, says Kevin Hall. Be gentle with me. He actually wants to go on a course that I may well be running about how to improve your filming technique. Now, if anybody else would like to go on a course, if you do a bit of vlogging or anything like that, not flogging, but vlogging, then I am thinking of running another course. Mr. Suggett actually went on one of my courses before. And he still owes me £750,000 for it. But I let him off because he found the premises that we met in and we all had a nice free cup of coffee. Well, I had a free cup of coffee because Richard bought it for me, if I remember rightly. But yes, I am thinking of doing another how to improve your filming course. So I want to get the numbers of about 5 or 6 people who want to come along and we'll spend a day looking at filmmaking and all little hints and tips that you could find online that I've already found online, made a note of, and will pass on to you and charge you an absolute fortune for it. Because that's how it works. That's how it works, ladies. I like to be honest, though. I do like to be honest with it. It saves you having to sit through all these YouTube videos that tell you how to do things. So that would be good. Nigel Sadler says, tonight I'm wearing my Bald Explorer hoodie while I make the soup. Is that so that no one recognises you? Made from a wide variety of random veg. Now, I'd like to just point out that my hoodies are not made from a random variety of veg. Thank you. They are made from the best fleeces that little sheep can provide. Or maybe some sort of man-made fibre. And when I say man-made fibre, I don't mean that many humans were hurt in the process of making that. They may have sweated into it, but I don't think that we randomly take parts of human body and string them together. Although maybe the intestine of a small child goes into it. Ed Loud says something, but before he said that, Linda Kane says the sound of the weir. Oh yes, that distortion was the sound of the weir. There we go. Thank you, Linda, for working that out. Linda Kane, by the way, is also known as Agatha Christie. She is the solver of many mysteries. Spectrum is green. That's just telling us that Lord Walton, whoever said Wotton, should be shot. Careful, careful. There are people around here with revolvers. Was around in 1883 to 1944, born in Ordsdale, Salford. And he was responsible for the Walton pie during the war. Notice that he died towards the end of the war in 1944 after eating this pie, probably gave him some wild indigestion, threw up his guts, and then he died in a horrible and agonising death, as most people do who eat the Woolton pie. If it had been Woolton pie, it would have been all right. It would have been quite safe. Ed Loud says, your hoodie is... Well, I've just cracked that joke as well, actually. Ed, you and I are on the same page. Spectrum, Woolton was the Minister for Food in 1940. 4 years later, he snuffed it. You know, it's interesting. Veg Grower Podcast says, I better sell those T-shirts to cover the debt. Yes, have no fear. You can sell as many here as you like. Hang on, one more slurp of the old coffee there. Very soon we're going to be having a look at Tim Williams. I think Tim is still out there waiting in anticipation. He sent in a video last week. I promptly lost it, didn't even look at it, thought that's stupid. Then I embarrassingly had to go cap in hand and say, Tim, dear Tim, please, I beg of thee, I said. I said it in an Irish accent. I don't know why, but that's how I did it. I said, oh, please there, Tim. Is there any chance you could send us it all over again? I've made a complete and utter fool of myself and lost the blooming file. And he ignored my extremely cliche, terrible accent and said, yes, all right, Richard, I'll send it again, you idiot. Robert Croser has deemed to turn up. Hello, Robert Croser. Nice to see you out there from up north. He is a representative of the North, and he's probably shivering in his socks at this very moment, because I understand up north they might be getting some snow. He says, I have a video to download onto you, Richard, from the seaside. Oh, this is a quaint way of putting it. Thanks. I'm looking forward to another bucket of cold water sloshed over me, full of seaweed and crabs. Dean Cooper, he says, see you Saturday. I guess I better bring a pail. Yes, I don't know if anybody has noticed that this Saturday coming, we're doing the Bald Explorer walk from the Jack and Jill windmills up to Ditchlin Beacon. And then we're going to be taking a Skyjet all the way back, possibly a BOAC flight back to the windmills, which should be good. Robert Croser says, I'll sleep better knowing that Nigel. Well, we all sleep better knowing that Nigel. He's a lovely Nigel, isn't he? I mean, some of us know more than one Nigel, but for others, there'll only ever be one Nigel. And if we saddle up with the right one, we'll be all right. Where in Sussex says Deem to come along. Hello, where in Sussex? Lovely to see you. I believe Pevensey is where you are in Sussex, Mr. Pilfold. We like Tim Williams. We do like Tim Williams. Ed Loud says, by the way, Richard, yes, and Julia, oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. If you're still here, my granddad did indeed hear from you when you said hello on the show. Thank you. Oh, I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased he saw that. I hope that wasn't the last thing he saw before he conked out that night. I would say conked out. I mean, you know, to go to bed. Digging myself a great big hole here. So when digging a great big hole, I think the only sensible thing is to find out what Tim Williams is up to, and what's that big tubular thing out of his left ear.
Hi Richard, it's Tim Williams, your roving reporter in the Mendips, and I'm at Smitham Chimney, which was used for lead mining, and it only was open for about 8 years, 1867 to 1875, and that was because cheap lead imports were the downfall of the industry, and the chimney survived, and it's still here now. For a nice walk. And there's no one else here. Over and out.
There's no one there. You're all on your own, Tim. That's because they're all up the chimney, you see. Minutes after that, 700 pygmies came out of that chimney and did a surprise party for him. Thanks so much, Tim. I'm so pleased you managed to get it there. What a lovely beard you were sporting as well. An interesting chimney in the middle of nowhere. I'm glad they put a plaque up so that one would understand exactly what was going on. But it looks a lovely part of the world. So thank you very much for sharing that. If anybody would like to go out and share their life story with us in about a minute's time, in 60 seconds, then that would be absolutely fantastic. You only need to use your telephone. Just hold it up in front of you. If it's a candlestick telephone, doesn't work quite as well. Hold it up like that. Make sure that you hold it horizontally, not vertically. We're not Instagram here. And just do a little bit of videoing. Tell us exactly what you're up to. And make sure you've got your face in it. So we like to see you. Kevin's slowly learning that. Although it is a risk, of course, that it may break the screen. But there we are. So that's all nice. So Patrick Rose is saying hello to Ed's granddad. That's really good. We're in Sussex. He says, technically, I'm in West Ham, but Pevensey is near enough. Oh, I see. You're in West Ham, are you? That's nice. West Ham. West Ham. Is he one of those footballers, those mad footballers? Pevensey's near enough, but it does have a sync port sign-in after all. Yes, I suppose to get into Pevensey these days, you have a special card, do you, that you can clock in with? You know, for the sync, you can sync it up. Presumably you can sync it up with your mobile phone these days, can't you? That would be very useful. Do you get Firefox or Google or Safari or whichever system that you use telling you all the time, you know, you can sync your mobile phone with your browser? And you think, I don't want to sync every damn thing up together so that you can see exactly what I'm up to at any time in the world, actually. I want to be fairly autonomous where it's possible. Tim looks like Rory McGrath, a very young, more handsome version than Rory McGrath. Whatever happened to Rory McGrath? Oh, he got old. That's right. It happens to all of us. Spectrum is Green says, update, Walton died 14th of December 1964 at his home at Warburton House in Arundel, Sussex. Wait a minute, we were told he died in 1944. But perhaps that was the time that he was alive. Thereafter, those 20 years since, he was in that sort of half-light of retirement. So there we go. Oh, a new face, says Nigel Sadler. We like new faces on this show. That was a television programme. Who hosted New Faces? Can anyone tell you? It wasn't Huey Green. Julia Hartley says, thanks very much to Tim. Yes, thanks, Tim. That's very good. Dave Ford, Bournemouth, already 2 down to Arsenal. Don't know what that means. Cannot bear to watch anymore, so switched over to the Vobes show. And hello to you, Dave Ford. Well, you have been missed the analysis of the Dave Ford K9 video show that we've had. We've had 25 different guests in, all of them whippets, and we've had a whip round to see which of the K9 video walk shows are the best. And we wanted to know if Dave Ford's whippet was Logan was any good, because people had tuned in to see Logan run. Or is it Logan's run? Anyway, that's first time on camera, not used to it yet. I think you're going to be an absolute star. Make sure you send us another one next week, which will be great. Barbara Charles says, you want to explain that to Robert Croser? Robert Croser says some very odd things. Sometimes I think he's high on drugs. Other times I think the black dog of depression has got him. Or other times I think he's let the account over to his daughter. We never quite know with Robert Croser, but he's a lovely bloke when he's behaving himself. So that's that. Linda Kane says, nice one. Last time I saw a chimney, there was a man hanging from it, sadly. Oh, I wonder if it was Fred Dibner. He did a lot of chimney hanging, didn't he? He used to climb up to the top and then he would demolish them. And when I say demolish them, I don't mean like an apple or a blueberry pie where you gobble it up. He actually put dynamite in them and blew them up. So that's quite interesting. Ed Loud says, Phil, my grandfather passed away holding my hand the next day. Oh, I was sorry to hear that. Saturday, he saw the end of countless diseases in society, the spread of democracy and the rise of literacy across the globe. Ed, we're so sorry to hear that your grandfather passed away, and I really hope that had nothing to do with me saying hello to him. I hope that didn't put the shock of awe into him and that he thought that he had suddenly met his maker, because that would be rather frightening. But I do hope that you take things well. Obviously, you knew it was coming and that he had such a marvellous grandson to look after him and care for him. And wherever he is, however you believe these things, if you think he's there and you know, he will be looking out for you, Ed, because you did the right thing. And, you know, the rest of us were just in total ignorance of the whole thing. But you were there at that hospital, or at least that's what you told us. No, you were there at the hospital looking after him. So we absolutely celebrate you and say well done. And what a better way, you know, there's no better way to go, is there, than holding somebody's hand and being there right at the very end. And I'm sure he absolutely appreciated that. So well done to you. And on that note, let's have a look at some beauty, shall we? How do you move on from that tragic but necessary moment of life when we're all going to meet our makers in one way or another? So let's catch up with Kevin All. He does have a sort of slightly godlike appearance with his white beard and stuff. But oh, silly me. Of course, Kevin is actually not in this video. So that's a shame. We're just going to see lovely scenery, which is probably better than seeing Kevin's visage. So let me just get into the right mode and we will see a little bit of some amazing scenery. Bear in mind, this is amazing scenery, I was promised. And if it's not amazing scenery, Kevin will be going the same way as Ed's grandfather. I may have just helped him on a bit. Here is Kevin and the amazing scenery.
Hi Richard, this is Kevin again. I know I'm not on camera and I know I'm not doing it right, but I wanted you to, or everybody, to see this. We're heading towards Crestbrook Mill in Crestbrook, and we've come along this footpath that's away there to my right. But I just wanted everybody to see this. This is just absolutely stunning. And we're going to head off down that way. And both Sue and I have said that we want to come back here in the spring. It's just wonderful. Let me just pan back round just to give you the final look.
Well, there we are. Were you knocked over by that amazing scenery, or did you have to be there? No, it was very nice, Kevin. Thank you very much for that. Very appreciate at a moment like this that you didn't show us your face. Especially that silly hat that you wear. Robert Croce has gone into detail about the terrible story about this bloke who'd gone up the chimney and wanted to commit suicide and then slipped and was hanging, dangling, and died of exposure. Just goes to show how he who moves in mysterious ways, isn't it? But anyway, let's move on from the subject of death, shall we? And let's have a little go with what's in the box. Doesn't sound like there's anything in the box, but actually, yes. Oh, that might be a clue. What could possibly be in this very lovely box that was sent in by Elaine Brazier? I haven't heard from Elaine Brazier for a long time, but I'm sure she's still out there enjoying the shows. But inside this rather magnificent box that we didn't throw away because we were too impressed with it, is an item. And the idea of the exercise is you can ask me a question or have a guess at what's in the box. So if you'd like to have a go at that, we will have a go at that. We haven't done that for a long time. But in the meantime, also, I happen to have got out, for emergency purposes, the Mensa Family Quiz Book. I only bring this out when I really have nothing else to add to the show. And today is all about nature. So here we go. I'm going to ask you a question and we'll just see how intelligent you are. So the first question on nature is under what other name is a blueberry known? Now, don't look this up on Google. Be ashamed if you don't know the answer. That's perfectly fine. I haven't a clue until I look it up. I'll have to look it up so I can tell you, obviously. But don't look it up on Google because that's cheating. And you're cheating yourself and you're cheating everybody else. Because if people don't know, then that's fair enough. So that's it. So what now? Let's have a go through it. Mr. Baxter thought so. They're still talking about that story. Let's move on from all of that. Fred Dibner had to rescue someone from a chimney once who wanted to rescue a cat and then froze with fear and couldn't get back down. Yes, well, I have that problem, just walking the plank with Mr. Kevin Hall. I don't know if you've seen the video that Kevin made me walk the plank. He was some vicious, vile pirate, don't you know, of the seven seas. And there was I on the balcony of the good ship Vobepop. So that was it. Huckleberry, says Barbara Childs. Bilberry, says Linda Kane. Belladonna, says Patrick Rose. But who is the right answer? But Bribery, that's a good one. Says, where in Sussex? Hang on, answers are on page 208. If you get there before I do, I'll know that there is another copy of this book out there somewhere. Nature. Oh, now I've just looked up the answer there. Who said... Well, I have to tell you, of course, that lovely Linda Kane is always right. But she has nimble fingers and access to the internet. No, she knew that. So blueberry is also a bilberry, is it? I didn't know they were. I thought they were two separate things. Shows you what I know. I know absolutely. I am probably one of the most ignorant people amongst us all. And that doesn't say much. In the box, Ed Loud is saying, is it a hippo? No. Is it a whale? No. Is it an elephant? No. It's none of those things, but they are very good guesses. You can ask me questions if you want to narrow it down. That would be good. Who else, says Nigel Sadler. Who else? I don't know who else. Ed Loud, Richard. Oh, right, okay. How do we know it's a real book and not some figment of your imagination? Well, you don't. You see, you just have to take a chance. It's like Clint Eastwood once said, didn't he? When he had that Magnum in his hand. I think it was a Magnum or whatever it was, a big long gun. And he said, "Okay, punk, make my sandwiches." And the bloke did make his sandwiches, and they were very nice. I think they were chicken and Walton pie, which was good. He had them just before he got onto a BOAC aeroplane, which all made sense. Linda Kane, 'twas a guess. Was it? 'Twas a guess. Bilberry is the right answer. Yes, Bilberry is the correct answer. Any more for what's that bloody annoying thing in that box? A new game that we haven't played for a while. Robert Croser says, and a cool hat, Kevin, not sure about the scarf. Yes, the scarf is... actually, the scarf is about the only thing I liked. Patrick Rose says, is it a cat? No, it's not a cat. If it is, it's been in there for a long time and gone rather solid. Linda Kane wants to know, is it animal, vegetable or mineral? Well, that's an interesting question. It is probably all mineral. Certainly not animal. I don't think some of it's vegetable, but mostly it's mineral. I'm going to go with mineral. Robert Baxter says, has she sent any clues? Who's she? No, I put the thing in the box. This is a box that Elaine Brazier had given us some time ago. So we kept it so that I could add things in. It's just one item today. One item in the box. Ed Loud, I can imagine Clint Eastwood with a Magnum ice cream only. Okay, punk, freeze your teeth off. Yeah, that would be quite good. Jim J.W. Harville, Vobes does exist, only just. Some days, only just. Linda Kane says, nah, it was a rocket lolly. Ah, rocket lolly. That's not a rocket lolly. We're in Sussex. Here we go. It says, I could have done with Kevin's hat and a scarf on the blooming Clipper last week on the Thames. If you haven't seen Steve Pilfold's report on the Thames, you must go and see it. It's absolutely interesting, especially at the end when you get to see the bra tree. Now, if you've never seen a bra tree in your life, you've missed something. And we get to see a lot of glass and modern buildings from the Thames. We do see a couple of nice old bridges. And you get to see some interesting water features at the end, some that give you the words from the news, which was interesting, and then the bra tree. Absolutely, can't make that up. He says, what did he say? I felt I had to stay outside the whole journey for filming purposes, as it was only about 2 degrees. I wondered where everybody else was, because you kept showing the back of the boat. You didn't show the front of the boat. Sorry, the prow of the boat. or anybody else. And I did wonder, actually, if you were actually on a boat at all. I thought maybe you were on those upward, those surfboards that you stand on, whatever they're called. I thought you were doing this, actually, Steve, which is why we couldn't see any of the boat. Nigel Sadler says, yes, I'm sure it's a Brexit clip on steroids. C-pin. A C-pin? Whatever a C-pin is. Kevin Hall says, is it a cotton reel? Not a cotton reel. Good guess, though. Julia says, is it a key fob in the box? It's not a key fob in the box. A rock. It's not a rock. Can you shake the box again, says Robert Baxter. I will give you some clues if you can't guess it. Robert says, can you... I've done that. Ed Loud says, well, if it was that cold, you were probably some blue tits in a bra tree. Bum. That's a terrible joke. Ed Loud, we're going to have to get you on the show, I think. I'm going to have to get you... Whereabouts do you live? I can't remember. We'll get you down here for one evening to be on the show because your jokes are a hell of a lot better than my old rubbish. Yeah. He said, I felt like a punt. Yes, it felt like a punt. I bet it did. Going over there. Did you do the gondola stuff? Give me cornetto. Wait. Give it to me. Delicious. All right. Or did you do the Hawaii 5-0? Ba 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 bum bum bum. Ba 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 bum bum ba 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 bum bum. Or did you do? Wait a minute. Who was it? Hang on. Brain drain here. I was introduced to something earlier this week that apparently happened in the 90s or the 80s with, who was that one? Who was the, Desperately Seeking Susan. Who was in that? Madonna. Apparently something like this is to do with, I can't remember what she said now. Velcro? No, not Velcro. Somebody out there knows exactly what I'm talking about and can remind me what that was. I was told about it today, went in one ear, went out the other. Robert Crosser says, I'm going on TVS soon. What, Television South? I didn't think that was still on. That's amazing. Greenwich, London these days, said Ed Loud. Oh, Greenwich, very nice. Very nice in Greenwich up there. It's very posh, isn't it? Nigel Sadler, is it a Jack in the Box? No, it's not a Jack in the Box. Dave Ford, in Dirty Harry, Clint Eastwood doesn't say, do you feel lucky, punk? He actually says, you've got to ask your one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do I, punk? Which is an interesting sort of. I didn't actually say that at all. I said, okay, punk, make my sandwiches, I think you'll find is what I said, which is a quote from a different Clint Eastwood film. That was called Clean Harry. Clean Harry. It was not such a successful film, but at least he had a name in it. I mean, he goes from the man with no name in a poncho to Dirty Harry. Eventually, he cleaned up his act, you see. Anyway, it sounds springy to me, says Nigel Sadler. Yes, I'm sure it is. Vogue, says Marriott Genealogy. Vogue. Yes. It's all in vogue, isn't it? Linda Kane says, loving the idea of Dirty Harry, Clint Eastwood. Patrick Rose says, it was Vivienne Westwood who said, you'd feel lucky, punk. Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Ed Loud says, I live in the dodgy old council flats miles away from where the tourists never go. Oh, what a shame. I thought you were in those beautiful buildings where they keep the telescopes and the Greenwich Mean Line, that mean line. You'd think they'd make it a bit wider, wouldn't you? But they're just so mean. They're just so mean. And have you noticed? Some of them quite moody. Quite moody. But there are some lovely Palladian-style buildings there down on the Thames estuary. Not on the estuary, on the banks of the Thames down there at Greenwich, which is rather nice. Has anyone, by the way, have you actually seen the Greenwich whilst you were there? Let's do another nature question from the book of Mensa, the Mental Entertainment Now Starring Answers, beg your pardon. Number 2, here we are. Which family does the honeysuckle belong to? Now, if it's you, do let us know, because we found a whole load of it. We don't know whose family it comes from. What family does the honeysuckle belong to? Don't look it up. If you don't know the answer, put your hand up. I won't ask you. Nigel Sadler says, I think he's thinking of Blackheath. Ah, yes. Now, there's a bit of a clue in Blackheath as to what's in the box. Yes, you didn't know that, but there it is. Something about Blackheath. That's what's in the box. Steve Pilfold says, I get a bit of Vobe-like about London. Not a big fan. No, I'm not a big fan. It's busy and from the tube to the pavements, and that's excluding the roads. But the history is so rich, I get mesmerised and have to have a look round. It's very true, of course, that the history in London is very extensive and fascinating, and there are elements, and if you use your eyeballs, you can see it. But it's just so noisy, and loads of people talk about it. And what's his name? Ackroyd, Peter Ackroyd. Somebody wrote a fantastic book about the history of London. I've got a number of these books on my shelf. Where else would I keep them? Is it a Sussex fossil in the box? Says Mike Dixon. It's not a Sussex fossil as far as I know, but maybe come back in 10,000 years, and it could be. Veggrower Podcast, he says, getting closer to having the shop running as just put a test sale through. There we are. It shows you the panic that was in Richard's eyes now when somebody actually wanted to buy a T-shirt. He suddenly went, I'll abandon the Vobe show and carry on with trying to get this shop up and running. Is it a spoon in the box? It's not a spoon in the box. This is something. This is something to do with appearance. That'll be a clue. It's something to do with appearance. Lonacea, says Linda Kane, with a very hidden. Oh, is this? This is to do with the nature. I haven't even looked it up. Hang on, 208. I haven't even looked it up. I was just mesmerised by that strange word, Lonacea. That's something I've got to get into conversation, isn't it? No, that's nothing to do with Lonacea, actually. According to this is a word I can't even pronounce, so I may not give the answer. If I can't pronounce it, then Lonacea is the Latin for honeysuckle, the Erica family. Nope, I'm sorry, that's not the answer. You may beg to differ, but that's what here. Greenwich, Maze Hill, we get a lot of trespass and vandalism at work on the railway, says where in Sussex. Do you? Well, it's a shame you can't, when people vandalise the railway like that you can't roll up the line a bit and just not bother to turn up. If they're going to abuse you, it's like when you hear the ambulance people being abused by people. I just think, if I was an ambulance man and I was being abused, trying to help them, and they're going, oh, hey, Jimmy. I don't know why they would be Scottish, but whatever nationality. There are other nationalities available. But if they were abusing me back, and you think, well, I'm just trying to help you, mate, and you just go, sod it. No, can't be asked. Just walk away. It's like, look, you're bleeding to death. If you don't get to the hospital, you will die. And also you're behaving like a Scotsman, or at least a cliche Scotsman, and that's no good for anybody. So no disrespect to any of the Scots people out there watching, unless you happen to be like that, of course, then what can I say? I'll get myself into hot water. The lovely Julia is here not to sort of put the brakes on me, which is a bit annoying, really. I need sometimes, someone to put the net round my head and pull me off. How are we doing time-wise? Oh, we're nearly at the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. How extraordinary how the time just whizzes by. Whizzes, as if it's on a little scooter, like a Vespa. So I'll give you the answer to what family does the honeysuckle belong to, if I can focus in on this. Caprifoliaceae. Did you get that? Caprifoliaceae. That's it's nothing to do with the car, the Capri. It's Caprifoliaceae. Caprifoliaceae. Or something. Caprifoliaceae. Caprifoliaceae? Yeah. Anyway, they were the two questions, ladies and gentlemen. Mark yourself appropriately if you got them right. Dave Ball asking, is it a golf ball? No, it's something to do with appearance. Something to do with appearance. I'll give you another clue. Oh, Audrey Forbes Hamilton says, hello, Richard. Is it a tin of shoe polish in the box? Oh my! Now that has something to do with appearance, but could you possibly be right? How exciting that would be. Is that your first comment? And are you psychic? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I have to say that is miraculous. I didn't think anyone would get it quite like that. Yes, this is a tin of Polish. No, not Polish. Polish. Shoe polish. This is a tin. It's funny how Polish and Polish are actually pronounced the same, but spelt differently. Or is that the other way around? Yes, that's what I use on my shoes when I go out. My lovely shoes that were donated to the show. I put a little bit of polish on them so that the one person who donated those lovely shoes will think that I'm looking after them, which I am. And I'm very comfortable too. Ed Loud says, Richard, me and Grandad used to do some amazing walks around the green belt where I live. I bet he belted round there, did he? I actually tried to film some with Grandad, but my mobile wasn't up to the job without a gimbal. I know how that feeling is because I did the same. I didn't have a gimbal then. J.W. Harvey says, they called my cousin Honeysuckle when she was small. Oh, that's very nice and sweet, isn't it? Day 4, we done that golf ball. Ed Loud says, of course, as you know, we all know that the Romney Nut Marsh very well, and you did a very long walk around there too. I need to go back to the Romney Marshes. There's more to see. Jeffrey P. Harrington says, long time since I've seen the Vobes show. Jeffrey, how are you? Up there in Lancashire, I think it is. Somewhere around there, near the Amish people, if I remember rightly. Mike Dixon said something, but that's disappeared. Mandy of Mary Mac says, Julia, how is Joseph? He's lovely. When I saw him earlier today. Patrick says, I feel like a whiz. Tim Williams says, that's easy for you to say. Just Honeysuckle will do. Where in Sussex says, blimey. Metro says, I was a cat before it was observed. Oh, it was a cat before it was observed. Yes, well, this is, what's his name? Schubert's box. He used to do something about a trout, didn't he, Schubert? But this is his box. So that's it. Dave Ford says, what has the Polish got to do with Blackheath? Well, it is black polish. It's black. Black polish for black shoes. And when you walk on Blackheath, you get black shoes from the black mud. Any fool could have told you that, but it happened to be this fool. Anyway, it happened to be me. Where in Sussex, that's ridiculous. How could you get it like that? No idea. Nigel Sadler has given him the answer. It's bloody obvious. I think he was busy patting the dog. Where in Sussex says, Blackheath Tunnel was made by people mining for shoe polish. There you go. That was the other underlying current that I was using very cleverly in the answer, knowing that somebody like Steve Pilfold would know the thing. And so that's that. Ed Loud says, Romney Marshes, I know it so well around there. I happen to know these marshmallows more than I know. Actually, that's almost eye size, couldn't I? I could almost end the show like that. Why not? Because it's ridiculous. Oh, yes, of course. Does anyone else use shoe polish and brushes nowadays, says Linda Kane. Yes, I do, thank you very much. Shoe brushes and polish, of course, why not? I like to shine them. I'm military. You see, when I was in the military, all those years ago, when I was an army cadet. No, I was never an army cadet. Can you imagine me taking orders from anybody? Phew. But I do like the fact that, you know, I like the fact that the army were nice and smart. And I do, yes, you can tell in tonight's show with my very smart jacket. I like to stay nice and smart as best I can. Robert Baxter says that, yes, Linda, we all do in the house. Nigel Sadler, of course, because it has to be vegetarian black for him without any of the stuff they stick into bread, the name of which I now complete. When I stayed we weren't allowed to have any. What was the stuff that we weren't allowed to have? You had to have special food that doesn't contain, not nuts, but I can't remember. It was not supposed to contain something, and maybe it did. But anyway, there we are. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for tonight. Wednesday, I'm hoping that the lovely Julia will be in and we will have another fun-packed show. And on Friday, the Brexit leaving show, which is going to be fantastic. It's basically me and a flag on the edge of. I'm going to do it from not Land's End. I'm doing it from. What's the place where a lot of people jump off to swim, and they often go when the tide is at the wrong time. What is that place near Beachy Head? Thank you. We'll be doing it from Beachy Head, or the White Cliffs of Dover. One of the three, one of those places, and I'll be pulling up the anchor. And it'll be great. Anyway, thank you so much. Francisco Bellringer has arrived. Bong. So that's time for us to go. He says, oh my goodness, I completely forgot about tonight's show. I haven't been well, and I spent a lot of time doing my maths homework. Well, I'm not surprised you haven't been well if you've been having all those figures in front of your face. Ed Loud says, I used shoe brushes and an old-fashioned cutthroat razor, sharpened with a waterstone and what do you use? The boot polish on your chin and the razor on your shoes. Is that what you mean? Francis, no, not surprised he's not been well because he keeps saying something about bass. And yes, something Audrey. And Kevin All says, good night, everyone. So there we are. That's it. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you had a lovely show. I will see you Wednesday. Take care, one and all. Tomorrow, the lovely Matthew Holdsworth and I will be in blurry vision on a screen near you if you watch The Bald Explorer. But from good old me here in the old Vobie One-Eyed Kenobi Showbie, I will say arrivederci, take care, look after you, and have fun till next time. Don't forget to get all those neuroplasticities out and the endorphins with the dolphins, and you'll live a long and healthy life. Till next time, bye-bye, goodbye.